In March 2018, the Delfina Foundation in London invited me as a collector in residence to spend time in the foundation and in the City of London, where I have decided to produce a few events, including an interview with collector Saeb Eigner, who published a book in 2008 titled Art of the Middle East.
Art of the Middle East has been on our shelves for the entire kind of period since it was published. And it's been a resource for us here at Delfina Foundation. So I'm going to hand over now to Sultan.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Thank you all for showing up. I just want to take a minute to thank the Delfina Foundation for inviting me. Before we begin the conversation, I have a bag here on my right. It has all our publications. These books will be in the Delfina library. So it has our exhibitions from Tehran, from the US, from Paris, from London, and elsewhere. So I do invite you. I am really honored and so pleased to be introducing my guest here tonight. Saeb Eigner is really a unique character in the Middle East, someone that I wish we have the ability to clone and replicate because of what he has been doing, championing art, not only from our region, but from all over the world, as you will see in the course of this interview. Art of the Middle East is a book that Saeb Eigner published originally in 2010, and an updated version, which is the one that's sitting here on the table, was published in 2015. Saeb, I'd like to take this opportunity to begin with asking you about this book. What was the impetus of publishing this book that brings together art from Iran and the Arab world?
Thank you very much, Sultan, and thank you very much, Delfina, for hosting us this evening. It's very kind, and thank you all. The impetus for the book came following an exhibition at the British Museum called Word into Art, and from that led, I think, a passion to publish something or a publication, because at the time there was perhaps not enough publications that listed many of the great artists and art of the region. At the end of the day, the book, like everything we're going to do today, is not about us, it's about the artists, and it's about the art that they produce. And the more that publications there are, the more awareness that there is, and the more that we know about the art, the more we can support it and follow it, and hopefully allow it to speak for the region. For the region is known for many things, of which not many are positive today. But I hope that at least in the art world, there is a positive message.
I'd like to ask about the cover of this book. Can you tell us about this artwork and this artist? And who are these figures who appear on it? And what are these lyrics on this?
Right, okay, well, this artist is Kulthum. Kulthum is the diva of the Arab world. She had a unifying factor. So it's not that she's from Egypt. She's actually known as the singer of the Arab world, for a variety of reasons, during particularly a period of Arab nationalism in the 50s, 60s, and until she passed away in the 70s. And here, this is part of a painting, a much larger painting, which has written on it the names of all of her songs. And the artist is an Egyptian Armenian artist called Jean Avedisian, whose speciality was in stenciling and design.
Kulthum was also known as the planet of the East, and so we call her a planet in the Arab world.
كوكب الشرق.
كوكب الشرق, exactly. Why is Saeb Eigner so interested in art from the Middle East that you go around to universities, you publish, you help organize exhibitions, and you lecture about art from the Middle East? What drove this passion? Is this in any way part of your upbringing? Is this a personal drive? Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. With education and university, since I'm passionate about both education and art, I try to find a way in order to integrate the two. But it goes along the themes that the importance of showing art and making art part of a daily, you go to lectures, you go to classes, you walk past art. If you go now to London Business School, it's full of art. There is art everywhere and beautifully displayed. And that's part of the dialogue between education and art. Now you've got.
What do I have for you? This is the book from the inside. It actually is so beautifully done. Can you tell us a little bit about the layout of the book and the captioning and some of the art? I mean, it's so minimalist as well. It's such an easy book to look through.
I think the importance is that everything talks to each other. So here you have two Iranian artists. These are done like postcards, and these are all the flowers of Iran. So it's a beautiful work. And then here on the right-hand side, you have someone who is a writer, a musician, and a Reza Darakhshani. And this is again to do with the same thing. He's very interested in nature, so he did this work. But the poetry that's written on it, which is very unusual because it's an Arab poem, which is a very unusual thing for him to write al-Mutanabbi on a piece, and he's an Iranian artist. But I also wanted to show dialogue. And the reason the book covers Arab and Iranian art, and a lot of people ask me, why Arab and Iranian? Why not only Arab or only Iranian? Because the two cultures are very much affected by each other, and you can't divorce them from each other as such, historically and culturally.
This is Ayman Baalbaki, a Lebanese artist who has won a lot of acclaim in the last few years.
Yes, so Ayman, the first piece is the one I'm going to talk about on the left-hand side.
This is a work titled Burn It from 2008, and I think it features two tires.
That's right, and it has a neon light that says Burn It on it. So you can see the interplay. The background of Burn It is flowers. So you look at it and say, oh, how wonderful flowers. But actually what's happening, the tires are normally burned in demonstrations. And that's the purpose of the tires. And the right-hand side, as the boss has now asked me to do, we have Ayman Baalbaki with Mulatham. I walked into his studio, and this painting was on the wall. And it was already bought, it was already sold. I couldn't buy it, but I wouldn't leave the studio. And it hit me, and what really hit me when I saw it is when I asked him about the piece. And this was one of the first ones he did, if not the first, and it's him. It's a self-portrait. And he was saying, and here is Ayman sitting, very trendily dressed, and you know, whatever, I posted a photograph of Ayman, and thinking, look, this is me. But what will everyone think when they look at this? They think I'm painting a terrorist, or I'm painting someone about to blow himself up. But this is just us. Oh goodness. So one of my most favorite people. We have to put this light off somehow. I don't know how. Because this work
by Iraqi artist Diya Azawi, called Human States Series, Angry Man #1.
Okay, I'm going to say something very brief, but I am not the expert on this work. I'm actually not the expert on any work. But in this work, in particular, I'm going to introduce you to Diya Azawi, who's with us this evening. And I'm going to beg him to very kindly say a few words about the work. Because I saw this work, I'll tell you, and what I saw. Yes. No, you have to, absolutely. Please, now you can. Come on. And the reason I put the light off is because the depth of darkness in this work is so deep that you have to understand that it is all about darkness. Yeah.
This is one of the work which I had in my last exhibition in Baghdad in 1975. The idea is a crime, because I used a poem by a very well-known poet, Iraqi poet, which was a poet talking about my generation in political terms. And this is one of the work which was Saeb managed to get it from the exhibition, from the Dubai. But in a way, it's maybe this is a manifesto of rejecting the war at that time with the Kurdish Iraqi Kurds. This is, in a way, till now, I feel this is one of the work which I feel proud, because it will, maybe after 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, it will express the situation in Iraq at that time, during the 70s. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
So this is a slide showing two images from the exhibition Word into Art that took place in the British Museum in 2006. I will let you speak about it.
This is Dia Azawi, who was still with us in the front row here. There was a BBC program made about this piece and how this piece was put together. This is a very large monumental piece. It's all based on Muhammad Mehdi al-Jawahi's poem.
How important was it, the title Word into Art? So does calligraphy have something to do with this?
It was not calligraphy per se, although calligraphy was part of it. It's the effect. It's how words or letters were used in art.
This is just another fantastic work. This slide depicts the work of an artist called Paul Garagossian.
And the Sultan just opened yesterday, only because I saw it on Instagram, an exhibition of Paul Garagossian in Sharjah. And he flew overnight to come here, not for me at all, but to do this residency. And this is the catalogue of the exhibition he did in Sharjah of this artist. And he did a wonderful exhibition. And this artist normally does iconography in churches. When he started in the 50s, I know everyone thinks he's Lebanese, which he is. Lebanon adopted him. He's a Palestinian artist born in Jerusalem and used to paint for churches, the iconographies and the silhouettes. And then he moved to Lebanon, where he's lived ever since. And this one is called Rebirth. And it's about a child, and maybe if I tell you this, you can see there's a child in white in the center. This is the baby, and it's the mother holding her baby and showing it to her girlfriends. So these are all the girls looking at the new birth, a newborn. And it's
So this is a slide showing the work of an artist called Parviz Tanavoli, and it depicts the character Heech from 1970. I'll let Saeb tell you what Heech is, but this...
Heech, I had a discussion with Parviz Tanavoli, because everyone wrote Heech means nothing, which probably phonetically is correct, but the point of in pure translation is correct. But to me, Heech, like Dia's painting and the black background, the depth of the meaning is much more important. And in a big discussion with Tanavoli, I elected in my book to call it nothingness, not nothing. And in the end, Parviz agreed, and he sent me a note that he agreed, because nothing means nothing, right? It's so irrelevant. But actually, in Persian, there is much more than nothing. This is a deep nothing. So there is a void. There is like, and when you see something that is dark, how can you paint something black, but do it so black that it has depth? And it's the same with nothing. This is nothingness.
Zaha Hadid wrote the foreword for this book. People didn't know that, but she wrote the foreword for this book, and I'd like to, may I read the foreword? No, but I thought it's a nice way of honoring her memory and honoring also the artwork downstairs. So this book on modern art, on modern and contemporary artists of the Middle East, brings together a wide variety of artists from across the region. Their work has evolved with its own characteristic voice, exploring future possibilities, yet derived from rich cultural traditions and a timeless history. I was born and lived as a child in Baghdad, where beautiful friezes, paintings and sculpture were exhibited throughout the city. This work was critical to my own development. I went on to study mathematics in Beirut, at a time when the city was beaming with artistic energy as a center for art and literature. It is extremely encouraging to see galleries in the West placing contemporary art of the Middle East center stage. Exhibitions at the world's most respected institutions provide a vital forum for the exchange of ideas. Now, nations across the Middle East have invested in their own museums, allowing this work to develop further. Such enlightened patronage, together with intuitive curation, gives us a very promising outlook for the future. And I am pleased to see the region's artists pushing new boundaries and challenging established conventions. It is a very exciting time for Middle Eastern artists. There is a real spirit of innovation and creativity in the air, going beyond established paintings, sculpture and calligraphy. their work ventures into new media, film, video, art and installations that reflect the diverse culture and histories of the Middle East. For millennia, the art of the Middle East has bridged the cultural divide between East and West. This work teaches us that these worlds are not mutually exclusive, but rather layered upon each other and profoundly interlinked. Art of the Middle East shows us how the artists of the region are continuing this tradition. Zaha Hadid, 2010.